All right, thank you so much for joining us on our 69th edition of Lunch Out Loud Ottawa. My name is Nick Bachewski.
And I'm Andrew Miller.
And before we get to, and we're the podcast that talks to the people, places, events, and music that make Ottawa the incredible city that it is. And before we get to our special guest this week, Tracey Clark from Bridgehead, why don't we check this out?
Hello world, my name is Devin Atherton. I am a number of things, including a rapper, producer, and DJ here in Ottawa, Ontario. I love this city, and I love you. I do a number of things around town, including hip-hop karaoke, DJ nights at Erling's Variety and the Elmdale Tavern, as well as various shows promoting local artists. Very excited this summer. Got the news a couple weeks ago that I'll be playing Blues Fest on July 12th, so I hope to see you there. My good friends Nick and Andrew, Lunch Out Loud, are going to play some of my music throughout the show for you. I hope you like it. If you want to find out more about me, check out devinatherton.com. DevinAtherton.com. All right, let's be friends. Peace.
Tip told me Joni Mitchell never lies, so I really can't listen to her music. I just can't trust a human who is that honest. I need fiction if I'm to get through it. So take a little time to tell my mind it's alright. So take a little time to tell my mind it's just fine. So take a little time to tell my mind it's alright. No threat, just white lies. I tamed that lion for all to see. They clapped and cheered, oh revere me. What courage they'd say on their feet, all applauding. But behind the scenes, the beast had false teeth, hip dysplasia, and two bum knees, tad bitten.
All right, so thank you so much, Devin. Of course, atherton.bandcamp.com. That song was No Threat. And be sure to check him out July 12th at Blues Fest. That's going to be an incredible night.
Yeah.
And so we are here at the Bridgehead, so it's a little loud. It's about 1:40 p.m. Yeah. So it's busy as always. Bridgehead, awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracey. And I just wanted to share a quick story that happened last night that was awesome for, I think, Ottawa. So I went with a bunch of friends to watch a TV show. And we wanted to order food from a small local business, a Greek restaurant, so not Greek on wheels, but we did a smaller one on Bank Street. So I pre-ordered 9 gyros. And so he says, okay, yeah, we'll have them ready for you, 7:15. I walked in, he goes, I'm here for the 9 euros. He goes, 9 euros? I go, yeah, 9 euros. I see that he has stacks and stacks. Oh. He made 90 euros. So I'm like, oh my, I don't want 90 euros. I just wanted the 9.
I saw the picture you put up and I didn't get it, what it meant. But
so he was like, oh, don't worry about it. I go, don't worry, you have my word. I'm going to sell every single last one of these for you. So I called my friend from Jackpine, Liam.
Yeah.
And asked him to make a Facebook post while I was in the car driving to my friend's house. Made the post. I got on Reddit at my friend's house. We sold all 90 of them by the end of the night with everybody sharing.
Good job.
So it was awesome because he got his most sales that he's ever gotten, 90 euros on a Tuesday night. But he got more advertising in 3 hours than he has in 1 year. So
that's fantastic.
Could be a sideline for you.
But they're just such a nice family, and they really deserve that, and they didn't deserve to lose all that money. So I'm just happy that we were able to help them out. So it just shows Ottawa people are awesome.
Totally.
And that's why we do that sort of thing. Like, so always know that you can do things like that in this city and people band around it, because the city does want to pick up people when, there are little issues. It doesn't have to be a big problem. It could help them out. So we are here with Tracey Clark.
The mastermind behind Bridgehead.
Yeah, and many of the shows I bring Bridgehead, and I do most of my work at Bridgehead. So
yeah, Nick pretty much lives at Bridgehead.
I pretty much live there. I am the king on Foursquare at the Bridgehead across the street from me, so the mayor, I don't get anything from it, but whatever. So, like we do with all of our guests, we like to get to know your favorite restaurants and also like your activities in Ottawa. I know one of your favorite activities is biking in this area.
She wheeled right in.
She wheeled in, brought her bike in here. So.
Totally. I really enjoy my bike, and it's been such a cold, long winter.
Yes.
But I started out about 3 weeks ago. I usually try to get out March 1st, but
That would have
this
been a
year,
tough one.
that was really tough. But I'm out, and I love to cycle.
It's so much more rewarding when there's no snow on the ground, where you can just like not go fast, but enjoy the neighborhoods.
Or whiz by as fast as you can.
Yeah, that's true. Are you from Ottawa originally?
Nope, I'm originally from Windsor, Ontario, and we moved here when I was 11. Went away for some of my university experience, went to Montreal for more of my university experience, and then ended up back here. And for the longest time, I always thought, gosh, I'm in the city I grew up in, for most of my life. Shouldn't I be going away from here? But going and coming back, you realize, boy, Ottawa is like one of the best cities ever.
Yeah.
Especially if you like to be outside.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are there any favorite spots that you like to bike?
Gatineau Park.
Yeah.
So do you do the up to the
Champlain
lookout?
Yep. I have some friends who gave me a silver band for my 50th birthday, and on it, it's done by an artist who is doing the latitude, longitude of Champlain Lookout.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
So
That's
I guess
neat.
you'd say I'm into it.
Yeah, a little bit. The ride back down from Champlain Lookout must be a little bit better than going up. That's got to be a slight
both.
reward.
I like both. I think they're both rewarding
It's
in
the
their own
reward.
mind.
It's
I'm
the
clearly
reward
not a
for the
big biker.
climb.
It's a reward
Yeah.
for the climb.
Yeah.
And I like going there before the cars start coming.
Absolutely.
So before I think the May 2-4 weekend. Mm-hmm. So right now you just want all the snow to melt. Have you seen it yet? Has all the snow melted yet?
It hasn't
No,
melted
probably not.
near enough. Last year we got out there even before they'd done all the cleanup on the roads. So it was debris, little bits of snow, and we'd get off and then walk our bikes across a bit of snow and then cycle again in the sunny spot. And we hope to kind of get that inaugural ride in again.
Cool. I didn't even know that they closed the roads down for the winter.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, that's where
Yeah,
you,
it
and
makes
then
a
you
lot of
cross
sense,
country
but-
ski.
That's why they're cross-country skiing, and you go across at P1 to P10.
Oh, see, I learned something new every
Do
week.
you cross-country ski in the winter?
Absolutely, that's
Wonderful.
that's the winter activity
So you got a lot of that in. This was a great year for cross-country skiing.
for sure.
Yeah. What about some local restaurants that you tend to frequent in Ottawa?
Yeah, I have two kids that are 10 and 5, so we don't get out to eat as much as we'd like.
Yeah.
And it's been a bummer because the restaurant scene in Ottawa has just been surging.
Yeah,
which
it's exploding.
which is great. So I love to I love to go to Gezellig. I love to go to Supply and Demand. I've played pinball at El Camino and really enjoyed that. So it tends to be either a easy thing. I like it when the service is casual but respectful, and the food is great. Those are always the requirements, and we've got lots of those.
Yeah, they seem to be popping up a lot more. That have a good mix of great food and, like you said, a more casual dining experience where you don't feel like you have to wear a shirt and tie to go out by any means. But
Yeah.
And because you're wearing that at work, you like to let yourself a little loose. And do a lot of the new entrepreneurs for restaurants come to you for advice sometimes, or they probably see you at different events? Because I know you speak at whenever somebody thinks about entrepreneurism in the city, they go to you, and you do a lot of talks throughout the year. So.
Well, it's funny though. Our segment is a little bit different. The coffee business is different than the restaurant business. We're busy in the morning; they're busy at night. Our main gig is coffee, whereas they're more in plates, of food and wine, beers, those kinds of things. So I wouldn't say it's the times when folks have approached us around wanting advice, it's either thinking about having multiple locations and what is that like from a management point of view, because that's really tricky. That can be a really tricky thing. So that tends to be where, or people starting out in business, whether it's a bakery, sometimes a restaurant, but bakery, coffee shop, any type of retail business, juicing business. Those kinds of things.
what are the hours that you run at your locations?
Yep, our location's all open 6:30 in the morning, and then depending on the store, it'll be 7 p.m. close, or a 9 p.m. close, or a 10 p.m. close. And
That's still a pretty good amount of hours, though.
oh yeah, it's really like 2 shifts a day. So
And great employees. I know so many people have gone through Bridgehead, and they've all had great experiences. So
there's
that's,
a big alumnus around the city.
That's it.
do you have alumni? Do you have graduates of 2005?
We keep saying we should do that, like create like an alumni page.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, why
That
not?
would be fun.
It's never
Yeah.
been done before, so
Me and
We
Nick,
should
while
do
we
it.
were
create that
sitting,
culture. It's a good idea.
while we were sitting at the roastery, we couldn't help but notice that a lot of the male employees had beards. And we thought that must be a credential.
There's a little
to
trend
be at
going
the
on right
roastery.
now at the roastery, and I think they all go. They went all together actually, and got their beards and their mustaches
Oh, really?
and their hairs all trimmed at the new barbershop on Sussex Ave.
Okay.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
We'll have the Barons.
Barons.
Barons,
House of
that's it.
Barons.
That's where they were.
House of Barons, yeah.
Yeah.
And has the roastery been a success?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very, very. It was an exciting move for us to take over the roasting and make the commitment to having super fresh coffee in all of our shops, and to get so much closer to the farmers that we buy from, and to be more innovative with those farmers. That's been the most exciting part of it.
Well, and it looks really cool. I mean, we've interviewed a couple of different breweries now, and it resembles a brewery in very many fashions, right?
Yeah.
And it's neat. I know that other people, like say if they go to Big Rig, they have, you can see the brewery in the back, and it just kind of adds an extra element that I think people like. Like you said, you can tell that it's fresh and it's made right there for you, right?
Yep, and you can see the process of transformation, and that's really fun. That's it's one of the things that I love about our business, is that we're sort of transforming green coffee to brown.
Yeah.
We're transforming flours and natural yeasts into great breads. It's a transformation business, and that's what I think I love about cooking. Or admiring chef who work, or craft brewers. It's all transformation.
It's wonderful stuff. And on a rotational basis, how often are new varieties introduced at the specific locations?
Oh yeah, we have.
That's one question I've always wanted to know.
Our buying model for green coffee is seasonal, and so we buy Southern Hemisphere coffees about half the year, and then Northern Hemisphere coffees about half the year, because we have a commitment that we'll never roast coffee that's more than 10 months off harvest, because it starts to get a little, it's a live agricultural bean it'll start to get tired. Sometimes the term is used that's baggy, so that's one of our commitments. And then once it's here, we start to get it roasted right away, and get it out into the shops. But after roasting, it's never sold if it's more than 7 days off roast. So
Okay.
Well, have you always been a big coffee drinker yourself? Like, was this something that you were somewhat passionate about, or was it more the business side of it, thinking, a coffee shop would do well?
No, it's actually
fair trade.
Yeah, actually, it's more mission-driven around, in 1987, I went to Nicaragua, and I met some coffee farmers in the Matagalpa, Esteli area, and I remember having this shock that, wow, they serve me Sanka. So instead of having, the coffee from the fields that they tend, their idea of, at that time, of what a good cup of coffee was, or what had status, was to hand me this Sanka. And I remember them thinking, gosh, they're so divorced from the transformation of their own product, or what the value is in their product. And that, it was many, many years later that I got involved in Bridgehead, but that really was the seed of it, is seeing that sense of injustice.
It's always in the back of the mind, right?
Yep. And then later on, I actually worked in restaurants for a time, and it was the Ritz restaurants when they were in their heyday in the 80s, and George Monsieur, who was the owner of the Ritz at the time, brought in Union coffee out of Montreal, and it was something really unique in the city. There was this, it was certainly different than the coffee that I tried around my mom's kitchen table. And I remember
offense, Mom. Eh?
No offense, Mom. But it was really, rich and really strong flavors. And I remember kind of being wakened up to coffee as an experience. at that time, and that was pre-university really for me. So,
What
it was a couple
like,
of factors.
What was it like coming up? I mean, obviously, brands like Tim Hortons kind of rule in the coffee industry, or at least have before. I know,
They're going down.
No, that's it, and I'm glad, and that's great. But what was it like, coming up against such a competitive market like that?
I think, they say that luck is defined as where preparation meets opportunity, and I think our timing was really good in the sense of there were some fair trade roasters, but none of them were brewing fair trade coffee and putting it in the cup. And there was, at the time we restarted the business in the year 2000, coffee was at a 35-year record low price-wise, and there were farmers leaving their farms, committing suicide, that kind of thing. There was a lot of word in the press about, the conditions of small-scale farmers. So fair trade was just kind of getting its zenith starting, and so it was a good time to introduce fair trade coffee being poured in the cup. That would be an alternative to the mainstream players. And interestingly enough, fair trade coffee's been, in the same way organics have been growing, fair trade has been growing, 20-30% each year for the last.
Every year.
Oh yeah. And so that's really significant. People do care about where their coffee comes from, and I think we see that across any number of supply chains now, or how local has become very big. Like people want to support their local producers. They want uniqueness in their products, and so that's also been probably favorable.
Now, a lot of the coffee beans that you use from Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala. Other roasteries, other coffee companies from around the world also use those beans. Do you meet up with those kind of roasters during the process? Do you kind of see what they do wrong in those kind of, or like the way they treat them?
Yeah.
Does Bridgehead treat them the best? Like, do we?
Yeah, well, let me speak to that. Like every coffee company will have a slightly different strategy in terms of how they work their supply chain. And, for us, we're increasingly trying to find smaller co-ops that are usually a member of a larger co-op. And so sometimes we're working with groups of farmers that are 30 people strong or 60 people strong, and sometimes even a couple hundred strong. But that's usually about the size of, a group that we'll work with. And we have encouraged them to disaggregate the coffee, which means to be able to trace the lots of the individual farmers that are members in their co-op, and to have a system of paying quality incentives. And that allows us to put more in the pockets of individual farmers. And the theory is that if your coffee's higher quality, well, then it can command a higher price. So, that's our strategy, is quality and differentiation, and it's how we like to work at Origin, is to work with well-managed co-ops that are willing to have individual tracing back to the individual producer, and to have quality incentives in place. And we've been working that. And that's really, really exciting, because
Absolutely.
it's not just fair trade, and it's not just premium, it's actually super premium pricing for great quality coffees.
And in the end, it's changing communities, it's changing everything.
Totally.
There's a huge underlying behind all of that.
Yeah, it's kind of like
huge impact.
Yeah, rising tide, raising all boats. And we're not the biggest coffee company in the world, absolutely nowhere. And that's not what we want to be.
Great values can go so much further.
But that's our goal, is to be a demonstration business. And so, to get back to your question of, do we meet up with other buyers? Absolutely. And they all employ different strategies. And so for instance, in your supermarket coffees, a lot of those are different brands, all owned by one of the 4 big producers, and they buy on spot from importers, and it's very price driven, and it's in terms of the quality profile. A supermarket coffee will be a blend it might have 10 components, 15 components, 20 components of different coffees, because they have to keep their taste profile the same year after year, but they're managing for cost.
Wow.
And the quality level, it
really
won't be there.
It'll vary up and down, probably.
Whereas for us, we have a micro lot program, and we'll pick up 20 bags of Diego Gomez's coffee, and Diego Gomez is a real guy, and he won the internal co-op competition, and we purchased his entire production for that year, and that's exciting.
Is Juan Valdez a real guy?
No, Juan Valdez is a marketing.
There you go. That's why you said he's a
fictitious guy.
Right on.
Anyway, so that's our approach, and then it's interesting to have that because we're starting to see the impact of that type of buying, where we're seeing the amounts of coffee that the co-ops we work with, we're seeing their quality levels improve. There's more and more coffee that's at a higher quality level, and that's very exciting.
And that's something for Ottawa to look forward to. Yeah. Anyways, we're going to take a quick break, and we're at the midpoint. We're going to listen to one more song from Devin Atherton. Woo-hoo. This is Paul Simon's Songs, and we'll be right back with Tracey Clark. Also, we're going to hear from Don and Jen from Foodie Prints. They're going to talk to us about the upcoming Poutine Fest, too. And are you going to go to it this time?
I'm going to it. I have a pregnant wife at home. I'm going to Poutine Fest.
All right, there you go. And then we're going to also hear from Taste for Life, so we'll be right back. Thank you.
In the beginning, some say there was a big bang, particles colliding, aligning the universe to hang ever so delicately everywhere around us. Pop goes existence from the ground up. Sound of silence took on the tone of noise on the earth's surface where they birthed girls and boys, little pearls of joy, a bundle of lovely. Sometimes I cannot see the beauty right in front of me. I don't want to be another apathetic asshole. Noose on neck, losing grip, Lucifer's lasso. Last hope coincides with my last lap, knowing that I'll get happy before my last laugh. All I wanna do is live my life, make music, eat good, find a wife. All I wanna do is sing along to the soundtrack of the sweetest songs. All I wanna do is live my life, make music, eat good, find a wife. All I wanna do is sing along to each and every single Paul Simon's.
All right, Jen. Thanks, Nick. What's new?
Well, Ottawa is very fortunate. We're about to have two fantastic food events. The first one is going to be on Wednesday, April 23rd. That's A Taste for Life. And then from April 24th to the 27th is going to be Poutine Fest.
I noticed on Twitter and Facebook today there were a lot of tweets and photos about the media launch for A Taste for Life. Can you share anything from the event?
Yes, so A Taste for Life, which is taking place on April 23rd, it's a chance to help support our community and also visit a great restaurant. And 25% of the evening sales are going to go directly to supporting Bruce House and the Snowy Owl AIDS Foundation. For a list of the restaurants, you can go to tasteforlife.org/Ottawa and make sure that you make your reservations directly with the restaurant itself.
Can you tell us how much has been raised to date? How many participants we had last year?
Well, to date, A Taste for Life has already raised over $750,000, and last year, 4,200 participants were involved.
All right. It's a TD-sponsored event, and every year they always provide over 100 volunteers. It's a good event. It's an opportunity to try restaurants that you haven't tried before, all for a good cause. Poutine Fest, Spark Street, about 30 restaurants? That sounds very familiar.
That's right. So the first Poutine Fest was held back in November 2013, and after such an enthusiastic response, it's back, it's bigger than ever, and this time it's going to be for 4 days. So from Thursday, April 24th to the 26th, it's from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then on the 27th, which is a Sunday, it will be 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
So that's about 1 kilometer of shacks and trucks vending poutine. With 30 restaurants participating, 30 restaurants and vendors participating this time around, I remember a certain someone was a judge last Poutine Fest. Are there any traveling, returning notables that you'd like to mention?
Well, one that was a big hit with all the judges was the the traditional and exotic poutines from Venue Snack Shack. And in terms of out-of-town participants, there's 2 of them. One of them is a Twisted Tomato from Hamilton, and the other one, which proved to be very popular last time, it's Le Smoking Barbecue from Montreal.
All right, how much would it cost for someone to attend Poutine Fest?
Well, first of all, admission is free. So you pretty much pay for what you order. However, if you want, you can also get a Poutine pass, which is $25. There's 5 tickets, and each ticket gets you an 8-ounce poutine. And if you want details about where to get it, check out the Spark Street Mall website.
That is www.sparkstreetmall.com.
All right, thank you, Devin. Thank you, Don and Jen.
Yeah, great track by Atherton. And just another note about him, for those that don't know, he is the brains behind the hip hop karaoke as well, which we always promote on the show. And make sure you check that out. That's
and Earlings and Elmdale.
Yeah, the new nights at Earlings Variety as well.
He's out almost every night. Great.
Another great spot.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
Earlings.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's very homely. It's nice.
We
All right.
like it.
Homey, I think you
Homey,
meant.
homey, you meant, not homely. Some of our friends did the designs in there, so it's
Okay, homely, whatever. All right, so we're back with Tracey Clark. So we're going to talk a bit more about events and charities because Bridgehead is impacting a lot of things in the community. The last thing, well, not the last thing, the Eric Carlson number 65 blend raised $11,000 for the Boys and Girls Club, which is pretty great.
Absolutely. Yeah, it actually supported their homework clubs. They have 8 homework clubs around the city, and the cost for one kid to participate in a homework club for the year is $90. So that 11,000 plus or so will go a long way to the homework clubs.
We love the Boys and Girls Club. Like learning more about it from
amazing.
From Max, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
So the more we can do, I didn't know about it growing up, but now I do. So that's been a benefit of this show.
Yep.
Many other collaborations as well with local breweries, Bose.
Yep, Bose and Beyond the Pale.
and Beyond the Pale.
You know, we work with them to collaborate on beers that have coffee in them.
Yeah.
And it's, again, transformation. And it's been really, really fun. In fact, we've been expanding the numbers that we've been doing. It started with, one type.
Was the
in
first
spring.
one the winter brewed that you did last year?
Yep.
Because
And
it was
then
right
now
around
the
the time that we
collaborator.
had. We were interviewing Bose at that time, and we got some fresh bottles right off the line from when it was first done, and I remember how good it was.
Oh,
No, we have
amazing.
so much fun with those, and both Bose and Beyond the Pale, great brewmasters. But the focus has been, a lot of coffee beers are really heavy stouts or porters, that type of thing, and we've been trying to focus on, let's bring a bit of lightness and fruitiness.
Oh, good. Because I'm a bit of a lighter fan myself,
and
so that'll be good.
And all of them have been, just beautiful characters of beers.
Absolutely.
It's so great.
Right on.
and great ownership and great supporting local, and they have the same values as basically Bridgehead. And so Ian Clark, I just wanted to mention, if you don't follow Bridgehead on Instagram, follow Bridgehead on Instagram because tracking his travels the past couple months it really ties the brand together.
Yeah, he's the guy working at Origin, and there's no substitute for going to Origin and meeting farmers and being able to select the lots right at the farm as opposed to picking from what's already been chosen by leftover from other buyers. That there's no substitute for it. And so in the last couple of months, he's been to Honduras and Mexico and Guatemala, and
That's going to be awful for him to have to travel.
It's a mixed bag.
He's working long hours. Like I saw 80 testings.
He did.
Doing
There was one day he had to do 60 cups of coffee. It's
60 cups of coffee.
How's his heart doing?
pretty good.
That's good.
He's young and strong. So.
Right on.
But it's very interesting. Now, once you get a company, do you monitor them to make sure that they adhere to kind of what they said that they're going to do? Because let's face it, these are some developing countries, and once they start getting a stream of money, it might not always go to the right places. But do you monitor that to make sure? Do you have kind of systems to make sure it does go to the people that are actually doing it?
You're making the classic mistake of they need our help and we have to monitor them.
No.
It's again, in terms of the looking at who we work with, we look for a good amount of transparency, and that is one of the things that we kind of require in the trading relationship is, hey, we'll be open and honest, about how we do business, and can you be open and honest about how you do business, and there have been some even fair trade certified co-ops in the past where we chose not to work with them because there just wasn't enough transparency about, the co-op is oftentimes purchasing cherries or parchment from the farmers. Well, what are those prices? We know what our prices are in terms of what the co-op sells to us, but what's actually getting distributed down to the farmer. So that's something that we require. Wonderful. And to us, there's no, if they're willing to open up the books, that's great. But that's, in terms of there being a formal monitoring or an auditing process, we don't do that.
The transparency is the best.
The transparency is the best.
Absolutely.
And that's what we look for. But in terms of the coffees, we do only purchase certified organic and certified fair trade. There have been a couple of instances where there's been passive organic or pending fair trade certification, and we're happy to do that. But our focus has been co-ops of small scale farmers, but increasingly the individual farmers within them.
And what's the biggest change from 10 years ago or more than 10 years ago when Bridgehead started to now? What are you seeing?
Yeah, well, it's really great that we're beyond the, in 2000 and the really historic low prices. We haven't gone back there again, although, it's coffee is incredibly volatile, and the worldwide, it's almost like the tail on the elephant, right? Like there are some very large producers, Brazil and Vietnam, and what happens to the stocks in those countries and what the holding positions of, the four big, roaster distributors are really influence world prices. Okay. And then everybody's a taker. Everybody at some level is kind of a price taker, even within the fair trade world. And so there's been more of a stepping outside of that's developed, and I would say the rise of the internet, the rise of just the communications technology being there, being at origin. Like I was in Machu Picchu a couple of years ago, and my BlackBerry worked up there. It was like, this is crazy. This wouldn't have happened, 15 years ago.
For sure.
But that's been very helpful in terms of empowering, farmers to make sure they're getting prices that they should be getting. So it's that's been great. So that's been one of the positive things to see is that there's more market access, I would say, and more full market information, and that's really helpful to farmers. And this pricing has been a little better and more stable, but it's still, the tail at the end of the elephant. There's still lots of volatility.
Gotcha. Have you seen? Is there much change? I mean, obviously you're getting from countries, much different than Canada. Our weather fluctations have been all over the map. Has weather been playing a role in any of these countries a lot as well?
Actually, one of the biggest things happening in coffee now is coffee rust, and that's climate change. There's been, the 2-degree change that has occurred over the last 20 years or so. It's felt very heavy between the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, which are the areas where coffee's grown. And in parts of Central America now, the rust is this disease, but it only becomes apparent at slightly warmer temperatures. And so there's this sort of race right now to identify more and more species, hybridizing, like setting up breeding centers for coffee plants to make plants a little bit more hardy that then can withstand rust, but also what else is going to come down the pipe with increased climate change. So this is a big issue, and coffee's always been such a poorly paid commodity that, in other commodities, you've got breeding centers or genetics and all that stuff. Well, none of that's really come to bear in coffee, and it needs investment for that to happen.
Yeah. Could you? I'm sure you could. Has anyone ever tried to grow coffee hydroponically? or like in a larger, like, I don't know, an indoor manufacturing warehouse of sorts?
I don't know that they have. I'm sure somebody has, at least at a little small scale. But the reality is that it's so much more costly relative to what the prices are from where the coffee's coming from. Yeah.
And going forward for Bridgehead, what can people in Ottawa expect? Is there any things we can look forward to? I know the roastery.
Yeah. More and more breads. Everybody's been anti-gluten, and we definitely have some products that are made without gluten, although and we'll continue to develop those, but we are passionate about high hydration, long fermentation breads, and they appear on our sandwiches, and we're actually bringing our bread team to the roastery, and we'll set up our ovens there.
Good smells.
Which will be, it'll be great. And the roasting guys are like, wow, this is going to be great. So the two big transformation products will be side by side there, but as well we're going to obtain a liquor license for the roastery and start to have some evening wine, beer.
There.
Yep, exactly.
Well, there has been quite
sense.
a bit of events there, but in the past. But I guess you have to get the spot liquor licenses for that.
So we're just going to formalize that a little bit and then extend the hours. So that'll be pretty exciting. And
possible local breweries involved.
Totally,
with that.
totally, yeah.
How many locations are you at total now in Ottawa?
We're at 15.
15, wow.
And employees? How many employees are
We're
we?
close to 300.
300.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And some potential thoughts on expansion into other cities, perhaps? Or
I have to be a little
You
coy.
get asked that more than probably any other question.
Yep. I have to be a little bit coy about it, but it's definitely in our sights that we'd like to try to bring Bridgehead to another city.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And any research you're doing in the future? Go into any trade shows in any other cities to take a look at what they're doing?
Absolutely. It's important to get out there and visit. And so I've got a research trip coming up to Seattle and San Francisco in the next little bit.
Is Seattle world renowned for coffee? I'm only asking
That's
because
where Starbucks is from.
I see. Okay, well, Starbucks, and then you
Plus
see
many
Seattle's
others.
best.
Yeah,
Is
there's
it?
two,
I don't
yeah.
know where that's from, but I mean from
What's
Seattle,
fun
but I
is,
forget where I see it.
the interesting thing about coffee is that there's a fierce independence in coffee as well. And years ago, people predicted that, well, that's it. There can't be any more coffee houses that could possibly open, in the United States. And they said, that's it. It will top out at, 10,000 coffee houses in the United States. And sure enough, 5 or 6 more years went by, and it's like, we're at 19,000 coffee houses. But what's interesting is it really breaks down between half very, very large chains, and then the other half are more independent, either single units or, small chains like we are. And it's interesting that there's that division of 50-50 continues. And so in Seattle, there's actually a thriving independent coffee scene.
Which is incredible to see in a city that has the largest corporation of coffee in the world. That's incredible.
Well, it
It's
had to start
absolutely
somehow,
incredible.
right?
In fact, I would say there's probably more the independent, Starbucks splits probably even skewed to the independents more.
Well, wherever you have somebody that's a mass corporation like that, you're always going to have the people that would rather buy from a smaller,
Absolutely. And we're seeing
smaller
that big
company,
time.
right?
A big change, did you see? Well, I'm sure you knew in Grand Central Station in New York City that they got rid of Starbucks at Grand Central and put in a local company. So that's a good transition that we're loving to see. And we see lunch now at the bigger locations in Gatineau across from Tim Hortons. So now, I love it. We love that.
Well, and it's interesting, because that's one of the things that came up for us is, do we stay in Ottawa or would we potentially go to another city? And I think the caveat for us, and again, we're interested in being a demonstration business, is that when we go, we have to go in a way that's local and that provides career position jobs for people in that other city, because that's one of the real benefits of local is that if if most of the supply chain is local and the managers and the senior management teams are local, well then that's great because people are owning houses and they're paying their property taxes and they're buying, right? Like that's what makes local work.
It allows people to keep with their passions and not go to corporations and not do things that they don't like to do in life and just enjoy life again.
Yeah, exactly. So that when we go to another city, there needs to be that element of, okay, well, how do we put down a footprint that's meaningful in an economic way so that people could say, I think they're pretty local.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely. That's the only way it works. And I love that. That's And that's huge because you have to
Yeah.
look at a whole new supply chain other than here. You're
That's
starting
okay.
your own thing again, but that makes it
That's
fun.
all good.
It gets you to branch out.
Keeps me young.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Tracey.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I'm
Thanks,
sure
guys.
I'll see you at so many other events in the future. Of course, so much fun, and we're just going to go. We have the guys from Beyond the Pale on next week, so it ties
Awesome.
in perfectly. I know you've wanted them on for
And
a
just
long time.
okay, my last plug on that is
Yeah.
watch out for our cold brew. We have cold carbonated coffee coming, and we're going to have it by the keg at the roastery. It's going to be great.
Sweet.
That's going to be interesting.
It's really good.
Keeps us up even more. So, any major events this weekend? It's Easter weekend. We have
Easter egg hunt at my house.
There we go.
There you
So
go.
everybody's
Everyone's
gonna-
invited. Tracy's house. Easter egg hunt.
I know Thursday night's a big night. House of Target's grand opening in the edge of the glebe, like the old Ottawa South. So that's going to be a little coffee, not a coffee shop. It's there's going to be concerts there, pinball machines, arcade. It's a nice little passion project. It's going to be awesome. I think a lot of people are going to be out there. Something new in that end of town. There also Black Squirrel Books is opening up a second location there as well, which is great to see.
Oh, neat.
That independent bookstore can now come back and open up a second store. For a while you're
Crazy.
seeing them all
Yeah,
leave.
that's great.
Yeah, but it's awesome to see that it is possible. It shows that kind of stuff. That's what I love in this city.
Right on.
Miller, what do you got?
I don't have a whole lot. I got all Easter plans this weekend for myself, so I haven't been keeping an eye on too much of what's going on. A lot of stuff next weekend,
Yeah.
but as for this weekend, I'm not.
Friday night's going to be a lot of fun. You got Still Native's going to be doing Black Keys tribute.
Oh, cool.
They sound a lot like Black Keys, so they're doing a tribute to try to raise money for their second album. You got the Ottawa Fringe Festival doing a Stiff Quickies show. So there's there's going to be, it's not as much stuff, but there's still quite a bit for anything you want to do in this city.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining
Thanks
us,
again, Tracy.
Thank you
Thanks.
again.
We got
Nice to meet you.
one more song from Devin Atherton here.
One more song, Good Gone. I love this song.
Right on.
That's not the name of it, I just really like this song. have a great weekend, everyone.
care.
Bye.
I can play the piano, not very well, like when nobody's watching, and I'm all by myself. Haven't really heard a word of slight utterance, blurb or excerpt other than the puttering. Feet kick sand, walk away unimpressed with fact. You're a sad bastard, apathetic. Bad, you don't get it cause they don't get you. But expecting a check, thinking credit is due. Better edit that view, spell check it twice through. Double spaced, handed back, works cited as proof. If that isn't you, then you're probably the other. Happy-go-lucky with skeletons in the cupboard. An unbearable mother and demoralizing dad. You swept under the floorboards cause rugs peeled back. But your sweetness collapsed when you creep on that patch that creaks where the cracks are unevenly matched. Repeating the past, teeth feeding on trash till someone says something worth believing. We're trapped. Killed the 60s, now it's all Disney. Pre-packaged plastic wrap on anything uplifting. There's an air of fraudulent in each and every argument that negates deviant ways and puts pride in honest men. Nonsense when you got love but can't show it cause the skepticism in them looks for ulterior motives. Showing anything other than the depth of my depression, I begin to question my own artistic direction. Each sentence. This is my attempt to prevention of pigeonholing these flows for what they can and cannot mention. That matters sound like, be it synth sample or soundbite. Give a fuck about the method if in the end I found lights downright completely most truancy I've ever had. Put it on my mother's yet to be engraved epitaph. You better laugh now while there's still wind in you. If you can't say it was thou, no one cares what you've been through. I am into and all about those prolific writers. No one there to tuck me in. I still got them to say goodnight to.
You feel you gotta scream at somebody, be visceral and mean to somebody. Let everybody know you're cool. Belong to that fuck you school. But that isn't it. Sweet music can be true. Wynton Marsalis? He's no fool.